Hello. It's still raining in case you watched the last one. So, we ended the last one on the Swan. The Swan was the birth of Swan, like the guts of it that made me into the man I am today. But now we have to sort of look to a different direction because I reviewed. This was someone's who loaned it to me, I believe. Cerwin Vega XLS sixes, and I remember reviewing them, but I have no idea what I said. Oh, and remember now, it's a soft, supple Cerwin Vega loudspeaker, because Cerwin Vega is sort of like, I don't know, they're like, no, Polk isn't a good example. I think if you know Cerwin Vega from back in the Dizzy, you're like, oh, those are big, cheap, shitty party speakers. And those were big, cheap, okay to listen to party speakers. So they weren't just like all highs and all lows. They actually made a difference. What time is it? We're actually going to do a time this time. 13:13 on my watch. So we'll go until 13:35. Yeah, so I'm going to try to hammer through these. So Cerwin Vegas, I haven't listened to any recently. 4 years ago, that's the last time I've listened to Cerwin Vega speakers. So if you want me to review that, wait till the massive $10,000 spending spree thing we're going to have to do just to try to get the fucking algorithm churned up. The IFI, iCAN Pro, and IESL, iCAN do anything. So I actually got those from IFI. They were loaners. And then when I did the IESL, which is the one that does the electrostat conversion, I literally said, I want to buy this. And they're like, fine, $900. And I'm like, here. So I bought it. This is pre the time where I get to yell at them and say, hey, I want to, just give me things. Just give me things. Just give me fucking things. Just give them to me. I still can't do that now. I still want to what are you talking about? Like, I'm just give it. Don't you want to just show up on my desk? Anyway, the iCAN Pro, the original one, was that really weird, quirky, expensive amp that had tubes inside that you could switch on and off. And like every input and output and adjustment. And it was very expensive and it was very powerful. And I don't remember how it sounded. The newer one that's come out, the Signature series, I think, is pretty fucking amazing. But it never got to the point where I thought I needed it because I have 15 fucking amplifiers. So what that can do in one, I could do with anything you can do. I can do with a lot of money spent on multiple items. But the IESL, I still pull out because its job is basically just convert an amplifier, like a speaker amplifier, into a usable headphone amplifier, besides just using this like sort of plug. But also to power electrostats, which at the time I'm a Stax fanboy, and that was the Staxiest way to Stax. If you're gonna Stax right. Stax with the IFI IESL. Wow, 3 big mamas in a row. Holy shit. By the way, wallpaper available in the Horde link in the description, not individually linked, because God forbid that's sexual. And you know, Amazon, YouTube will go, oh, you link to Imager, direct link to pornography because her eyes are different colors. I forget the name of that. They said it in the X-Men movie. Heterochromia, I think. Yamo C103s, Swan MR600s, and TEC LS301s. I don't think you can get a better, like that's 3 in a row. 3 in a fucking row. And I'm mildly upset that the Swan has the least amount of views. 41,000 views, 17,000 views, and 25,000 views. So how do I want to talk about this? We'll talk about this in a reverse order just because it's a cluster. The TEC LS301s were expensive, cheap, or free speaker. So those were a coaxial speaker, a little wooden box with a little coaxial driver, a little tiny soft dome inside a thing. And TEC is not really known for speakers, at least not in America, at least not to me. But I bought like their little desktop units, the little TEC LS301s and stuff, the amplifiers, and that came with one of the fucking sets I bought. It was like $400 and you got a free set of speakers. But then if you wanted to buy the speakers on their own, they were like $180 speakers. And I know that unit on its own was only like $50 less. So it's like, well, like how do you get these? You don't want to spend that sort of money on these speakers because they're kind of small. And then, but you might as well get them if you're getting whatever. The point is, those things were fucking great. And I really wanted to make a boombox out of them. And I think I sold them. I don't think they're in my basement anywhere. I think I sold them in a yard sale because I had the box for them. And I was moving and I didn't need to keep it around. But those things were fucking good. For a little fucking tiny little coaxial, they were like the prerequisite to like the RB42. They were small. They were like a little KEF Q100. You know the KEF Q100s? We haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gotten there yet. That's pretty impressive. Unless we did. I don't remember. It's been a while. Are those more than 4 years ago? Anyway, those things were great, but you really can't buy them anymore. I'll try to link them in the description. Hopefully, if those came down to $99, everyone have them on their desk. No questions asked. Moving up to the Swan MR600s. So my life changed last review, where I got Swans, and all of a sudden I'm in Swan Love and Swan Glory and Swan M200 self-powered amazing. So I reached out to the internet with money from Patreon and bought the MR600s, which were a passive set. And if you look at them, you see a little bit of why I bought them. I've only started recently doing it. I did it in the triangle video, the 40th anniversary, where the tweeters on the bottom. I have a thing with tweeters on the bottom. I like tweeters on the bottom. It's a set of Yamahas I did with the tweeters on the bottom. Or you just turn any speaker you want upside down, except for these, because the tweeters in the middle, and you literally can't. There's a thing about me with tweeters in the bottom. I like that. And the fact that these were like architecturally beautiful. And they're Swan. I just did Swans. But they were sealed. There's a sealed 5 1/4 upside down inverted tweeter passive Swan. And they were good. That was it. That was it. They weren't, I wrote pretty and loud and expensive-ish. Those had no low end, zero. Like they didn't even sound like a complete speaker. There's some speakers that, like you look at them and go, wow, that's gonna be a full, complete speaker and it's gonna be amazing. And then it's missing like all the low end. Like not even just like bass low end, like bass, like what happens when someone sings and it's low. And those are one of those speakers that, if it would have been a ported speaker and produced a little bit more, like what the tweeters were doing was amazing, but they were just, it was not a balanced sound. It was very much the top 2/3 of a perfect speaker, and you needed to add a sub, and they were like $300, $400. I don't remember. I actually don't remember what they cost. It was more than a little by a lot. And I was like, fuck, please just be better. I sold them. They were so fucking pretty. God, I missed looking at those speakers. Go watch the Swan RM600 Mark II. Pretty and loud and expensive-ish. So good. But I sold them. Like if I didn't keep them, I sold them. So the TX I sold. I love them. I sold. The Swans I sold. Love them. I sold. Yamaha C103s are in my basement. Not that color. Because the Yamaha C103s, great speakers you can't buy. That's the title. So I wasn't a huge, my father had Yamahas when I was younger, and like little tiny Yamahas. It was kind of interesting. And fast forward, and I'm like, oh, look, Yamaha makes the C103, C93 Dark Apples I reviewed previously. Little tiny ones. The ones that I said the Emma Watson speakers. Right, they were beautiful. They had like the flared front, and the box was beautifully finished. And these were the big ones. These were the 6.5s. I thought they were 8s, but they were 6.5-inch versions, and they were huge, fucking huge. Like if I put it on this desk, it'd sit this tall. That's a 40-inch monitor. They're huge. I have them in the basement. Again, I have them down there. I bought a pair. I forget what it cost me. A few $100, $450, $500. And I put them up on my speaker stands, and somehow a speaker the size of like a small microwave sounded bigger than it was, which was amazing. They are just the biggest, warmest, like the tweeter floats in this like suspended rubberized thing. And they have real phase plug, and the finish on that one is white. It also came in black and then a wood finish. So here's what happened. Real quick story. If you don't remember the details of Z reviews, those I reviewed them. Gave him the I suck their dick hard as fuck video. I don't have the white set anymore because I sold it. I sold a lot of them because at some point, out of the magic of science and technology and someone just going, hit the button to sell these, they dropped to $129 a pair. These should have been $1,100 speakers. They sounded like $1,000+ speakers. They were built like $1,000+ speakers. When I got them for $400 or $500 or $600, I forget what I paid for that first pair. When I bought them for that, I was like, these are fucking cheap for what they are. So when I saw $129.99 or whatever it was, the first thing I did was tell all my patrons. The second thing I did like 4 minutes later was buy every set on Amazon, which made me kind of a dick, but at least I gave them a few minutes. Cheese bought one, all my friends bought one, buy them, buy this, everyone buy this, buy this, buy this, until there was none left. And then there was none left. And then I had the control of everything, 7 pairs. In fact, I had 4 sent to my friend down in Texas because I didn't have room because I only had the 1 apartment. I'm like, can you buy this? Put this in your house. I'll tell you how to ship it. I'll do shipping. So I had 4 pairs there. I had 7 pairs in my apartment. And then I did the yard sale the next month, we'll get to, where I sold them. And I put a minimum price of what I paid for the first set. And I told I'll ship anywhere. I think I did... There's a minimum bidding price. The only time I ever do minimum bids is when someone else is trying to sell something. But like, holy shit. I sold every single set except for 1, which was the nice wood finish. And I keep that one in my basement and I pull it out. It was the first pair of speakers set up in this house. When I moved from Narberth to here, we've unpacked the car. DMS was here. And there was the corner where I have the speakers set up right now. Was the only place with a plug on the wall. So it was like, well, that's where I'm going to set the speakers up. I have a picture of DMS sitting in my basement. My basement was fucking empty with a metal folding chair because those came with the house. And I think we had a couple of speaker stands and just the Yamos on it and like a cheap SMSL amp. And it was just turn it up and it was like, oh. In fact, my friend Dan came over because he was helping move that day too. And he listened to those and went, those are my favorite speakers. Only the Bucart A700s at $7,000 have ever touched his heart more than those speakers did. So that's a very long, drawn-out thing on the Yamaha C103s. They're so good. And I feel bad because I sit in my basement as like background fodder, but they should be. I would love to. I need a hotel. I need to live like 1,000 years, and I need to have like someone assign me to listen to these things so I can actually go out and listen to them. That was my chair farting. It wasn't me. Kingsound. Off of the 3 speakers that were actually pretty excellent. And on to the Kingsound. Kingsound, we're talking about electrostats. Kingsound's an electrostat. Kingsound is the hardest company on earth to deal with. I never will again, and I never will. They were at every audio show, and you'd be like, hey, can you send this set to me for review? And they would be like, buy it. I'm like, no. I want to loan me a set. I'll tell a bunch of people about it, and then you can sell a bunch of them, and then I'll give that set back. No, buy it. You buy. They were so Chinese, just so Chinese. And I think I borrowed that set from a user who bought them, because that was the only way to do it. And they're abysmal. They're terrible. They're the worst sound. Like, look at the fucking hand waving. I remember that wallpaper. That was up for a while, or I still have it somewhere. Just don't. Don't Kingsound, not even once. Sound number for that. The Ultimax subwoofer, currently in the hands of my friend in Ohio who had a baby. It was a 15-inch subwoofer kit, and it was so cheap. I forget what it cost, $350? Worth the wait? Hell yeah. No amplifier, so you just got a box to glue together, the driver, and that was it. Did it didn't come with terminals. You decided every other thing. Hi, Chewbacca. Chewbacca's sitting on the what the fuck is it? Behringer A500 there. So the problem with the Ultimax was, it was ugly because you have to deal with it. My friend just painted it black. I did try an experiment where I ported it because it was a sealed sub with that 15-inch, and it didn't work out with the port. It was bad. But yeah, no, it was a kick-ass sub. And you would build multiple of those. If you were building them, you get them for cheap, and then you amplify them yourself. And that's what actually got me into the crown game, because at that point I'm still using the Behringers there, and I needed an amplifier for this. So everyone was like, you got to buy a used crown, like an old 1500. And then that was when the 1502 popped into my life, and I used that for stacks and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. So yeah, the Ultimax actually got me to get the crown amps going. So we'll get to those in a sec, I'm sure. Here's the yard sale, plus new monthly update. I should actually watch that and see what I did 4 years ago. 4 years ago doesn't seem like a long time. Unless you're young, then it seems like forever ago. But to me, it doesn't seem like a long time. But I also don't remember a fucking thing that was going on. Yeah, there are some Yamos in there. So I was already doing the Yamo thing, because those are the wood ones. Oh, they're so pretty. Here are the Swan 3.1s with this is a DIY cabinet assembly, part 1 of 4. So when we get to the actual review of it, I'll talk about them. Holy shit, the best audio thing ever, the Mini DSP. I don't even want to tell you about this video. It's 51 minutes long. Go watch it if you don't have a Mini DSP. I know they're changed to the new stuff. I have to find that email of the company and be like, hey, you've got new stuff that's interesting. Send it to me. Because this house currently has 5 or 6 of them in it, plus the ones they sent me for the home theater. My whole home theater is running off mini DSP gear. And the mini DSP Nano Digi, which we're not at yet, that comes later, was, yeah, that's a non-HD, and that's the HD mini DSPs. If you don't know what a mini DSP is, go watch the video. Please, I could talk forever. I talked about it in the subwoofer adding video too. HE4XX was $135 to $150 hi-fi min planar, tuned by drop, with the old style headband that I prefer. And they were just competent, like so nice. They were just nice. They were balanced. They didn't do anything offensive. They were built well enough, like it's old school hi-fi min build, but they didn't have like the screw-ons. And I fucking kept those in my car in a Ziploc bag as my emergency pair in case I was out at someone's house or on vacation and I'm like, all right, this vacation sucks. I just want to listen to music and all I have is my phone. Boom, plug those in my phone, be done. They were that sort of thing. They were the ones I threw in there. Now I would just throw a set of KPH 40s in the car and be done with it. CAF Q350. So, CAF Q350s were the new revision of, like, I must have done the Q100s already, obviously, in the past. What time is 29, 6 more minutes. The CAF Q100s were amazing. Then I know there were bigger ones in that older series. Then they came out with the Q150s and the Q350s. So someone loaned me the 350s. I didn't like them. Super emo coaxial monsters. Yeah, the title I think says it all, but I don't even know what it means. And that got 111,000 views, so I should probably, wow, 4XX got 198,000. I should be looking at the numbers too. But the super emo coaxial monsters, I didn't like them. I tried like crisscrossing them. They just were either too neutral or too bland. I don't remember the actual, I just know I didn't like them. And I felt like if I didn't review the Q150s, because I'm like, if they're like the 350s, I'm gonna hate them. I'm gonna hate them. I'll keep my Q100s and fucking pull those out every time I need a desktop speaker, but not those, not the Q350s, not the Q150s. COS ESP950. This is before the drop version of those. Those were a $500 planar. I'm sorry, electrostatic, not planar. A $500 electrostatic ear speaker. What else did I write in this stupid title? That aren't stacks. And they were mild-mannered, but still had the speed of like a stacks. Like the whole point of them was they came with their own amp. It was an amp and headphone bundle for like under $600. You put it together, you plugged it in with a special connector, which wasn't a stacks connector, and you were like, oh, cool. This is kind of cool, COS. You made a thing. And when we fast forward to the 95X, which is the drop one, and they changed the pads, because those pads were garbage. It was the same thing, but like better and cheaper. And DMS, who's very hard to please, heard my set and then bought them from me. He bought my set from me. That's how much he loved them, because they're just fun, clean, fast little headphones, and they didn't weigh anything, and they folded. Like the whole thing came apart on purpose, like not broken, come apart. COS needs to bring back some electrostats, but in some sort of other form factor. It'd be so cool. All right, we'll do. All right, Sennheiser HD660s, the best Sennheiser can. 409,000. Maybe the word best is what I should put in every title of my videos. People already complain, but I'll put it in the title of every video. This is you could tell it's a popular video because it's got the red square. I put the red square so it'll kind of attract attention in the sidebar. And it's like, ooh, what's that? It's a red square in front of that one. Those headphones were way too expensive when they came out. $500 for the 660s? And like I know that we talked about it last video, was the 6XXs. Because there's the 600s and the 650s and the 6XXs. And these are the 660s. And it's like, okay, like $250, $250, $600 or I think it was $500 straight. That's a lot, because you know the build is identical. The build is identical. Same pads, same headband, same comfort strap, same wires. Everything was identical to everything else in the $600 range, in the 600 range. Why is this particular fucking can so expensive? And it was all about the new driver. And it's like, I know how much drivers cost. So it was a hard nut to swallow, but let me tell you, they are nothing like the 600s or 650s or 6XXs. They're a lot like the 58X, which we're not up to yet. This is the daddy, and somewhere down the line, probably 3 more of these videos, we might get to the 58X, which was tuned to sound like this a little too well. But that headphone, I went to MagFest down in DC, Music and Gaming Festival. We all brought our computers, set them up, and it was gaming time. And I brought that set of headphones, and I think the FEO Q1 Mark III, that little fucker. And I ran it balanced off of there. And those impressed me in gaming more than like any other headphone. Like people are always like H-800 or those were the kings of fucking gaming because you could turn them up and it never hurt no matter how loud they got. And when you fired a gun, click not on the browser, it was like something snapped in your fucking brain. You're like, ah! Only recently, this is 4 years ago, only recently have those come out to actually, oh, they're plugged in and they're tied off. Fuck. Just throw it all on the floor. It's all fine. What the? I feel like this is a comedy sketch. They're still plugged into the Element 3. Only recently have the Nvidia TX901 combat armors come out and scared me more than the 660s did. These are also $500. So if you're willing to spend scary money, they're attached to this computer, because this computer is my dedicated old school gaming setup. So I want to play like Unreal or something, it's that computer. Yeah, those things were terrifying in gaming. A little bass light, but man, the energy. You could just feel the energy, like transferred sound directly into your fucking head. So music, okay. Movies, ooh, and then gaming was like, oh, God. So I'm sure I sold people on that a lot. And then the 5X came out. I'm like, well, what's the difference? One more. We'll start the next video on the Fostex Massdrop TX0. Can't win them all. Was this my first Audio God product? Audio God. I still have one of their amps down the basement, or it's a DAC amp. The NFB28. Terrible names. If you don't know Audio God, Audio GD. Chinese brand, but like China. Like you have to order it from China on a Chinese website to get it to you. And the insides always look like someone was playing. You know when they build like circuits in Minecraft and it's just like you look under the ground and there's just endless fucking seas of red wires? That's what it looks like. I've never seen a more complicated audio device for doing the same task as another device. If you opened up a Fostex HPA 4BL, HP, a headphone amplifier 4BL, HPA 4BL, I said that right, wow. If you open up the inside of that, the Fostex DAC amp, is like 3 components in it. It's hysterical, but I love it because it's so simple and so clean in Japanese. You open that motherfucker up, that's the exact same task it has to do. And it's littered with circuits and things and the lines go around. It's like, I don't understand what they're doing. And it sounded good. It never sounded like transcendently better, but it sounded good. And I guess that's enough. Like there was the R2R. They were doing a lot of the stuff that hadn't come out yet first and sort of cheaper, but they were so hard to get to. And they would have some quality control issues, not a lot. They were usually pretty well built considering how insanely complicated they were. So yeah, they sort of just fell off the radar of everybody. I haven't heard anybody be like, no one in the last 2 years since I moved to this house for sure. So that was 4 years ago. I might have done an Audio God product earlier. Yeah, I know I do an R2R one that the European company sent me and then they didn't answer it back. But yeah, I did a couple Audio God products and they're always like competent, but they never had like a thing that they did that was better than everyone else. They made it more complicated than everyone else. And then sometimes they did it first, the first R2Rs, the first this, the first that, the highest power, but it never like stuck. And I think everyone's just sort of given up on them. I haven't touched Quest Style yet because Quest Style is apparently still around doing things. So yeah, we're done with this one. We'll hit up the LCD2 Classics. Why buy anything else? Seriously though, those were good. And the TX100 next time. But all right, download your wallpaper, Patreon, subscribe star, help support this channel. See reviews, not these videos early. If you want to see the rest of these videos, there's a playlist which you can click on in the description, Zeos, if you want to put that there. So see reviews early, participate in yard sales, and hear lossless sound demos. For $10 a month, you get the private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat, which also grants you access to a lifetime swap meet channel. So if you want to buy, sell, or trade gear, you can do that there. You have any questions about wallpapers or anything, you can get those in the Resilio Sync Horde. I should just give out my Imgur link, but then it's like, that's cheating. I want more people to use Resilio Sync because I want to force people to be happy. I'll force you to be happy. Force it. Yeah, check out Hi-Fi Guides and Hi-Fi Guides forums. Again, we're going to fix it's probably fixed by now. By the time this video comes out, which is after this is episode 23, right? By the time this video comes out, we should have fixed the email problems on the website, and then I can actually do that thing I want to do. I could just go over the emails for 3 hours. Anyway, I'm done. I've been Zeos Pantera. This has been Z Reviews, reviewing my old stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.